Welcome back. So I added one more label here. What the viewers are going to see is the number of videos viewed, and I'm after a number, which is why I gave it a type of number. So it will give them an error if they put in a character like an A, because that's not a number. And then that's it for this label. So now let's apply some styles to the labels we have so far. We're going to jump into our styles here. We're going to stick it down here below the existing classifications. And let's add the classification that we used of watching. And the style here, we're just going to do positioning. We're going to do position relative. And then let's add some values to our field styles. So that would be contact info, input, number watched, and then the text area that we created. And there we just want to put in a border of 1 pixel. I'm going to make that border solid, have it be 3 C's, and then a padding of 0.2 ems, and then let's make the font size of 1 ems. And then we're going to put in a selector of select. You'll see why here, with a margin bottom of 0.6 ems. That's it for that one. Get rid of that empty space. And then our contact info input, we want to position that one absolute and to the left 5 ems. Now what this is going to do, it will give a nice nested look. And then let's do that for our schedule input. We're going to have that do the same, position absolute. And this one we're going to have to go to the left a little bit more, 10 ems. Perfect. I'm going to add some more styles to the IDs that we created. It's going to take me a minute to type, so I'm going to play you some music while you watch. Okay, welcome back. So I typed in a lot of IDs and some styles here, and I wanted to explain to you a little bit what I did. So for the name input and email input IDs, I had that form have a 25 width so that the space is longer because they're going to need more space to put in their name or email versus their phone number. The number watched, it's a very small field, so I have only 3 ems. And then for the labels itself, I have that the font size is going to be 1em with a line height of 1.6 to give enough spacing. For the contact information labels, I'm going to display as block, which will allow them to stack underneath each other versus side by side. We need to go in and do some reset style work here. Just like in my other videos, we've always gone up to the reset styles and added all the new fields that we've created just so that we don't have any surprises. We need to add input, and then label, and then text area. Okay, now that we've done that, now let's save it and take a look and see what it looks like so far. So this is what it looks like before refreshing. Now let's refresh. And oh, it's really starting to come together. So notice now they are stacked on top of each other. That's because of the display block. We have a bigger field width, that 25 ems for our name and our email, 12 for our phone, so it's a smaller space. The number of videos viewed, even smaller space, and then our text area is still the same. So very neat, right? It's really starting to come together. And because we added the borders there, we see a border around the chunks of information and then borders around the individual pieces of this bigger chunk. So I am really liking it. Now you may wonder why there's this empty box here. That's our submit button, which we haven't done yet, so therefore it's empty. But it's really looking nice. So now let's go in and create some checkboxes for this form. In the topics of interest, I'm going to have some checkboxes here. And we're going to go underneath to the area that I just pointed out, which was topics of interest. Okay. And then underneath the legend, we're going to get started. Let's type in label 4. And then the first one I'm going to have web design. So I'm just going to put web dev for web development. Keep it short and sweet. And then we're going to open that up and put an input type. and the type here is going to be checkbox. So that's how we get a checkbox to actually show up. And the ID for that one is going to be web dev, and then the value is going to be web development, and then the name is going to be interest. Now you will notice as we build the different checkboxes, the name for all of them is going to be the same. So I'm going to copy this here to make our lives easier here, because we're going to be creating a few. And then after this closing label bracket, we're going to open up another one, and we're going to create our next checkbox. So this checkbox is going to be for Office Tech. Don't forget your quotes like I did. Wrap this in quotes. Beautiful. And then here's where I'm going to paste what I already typed. And the type is checkbox, but this time the ID is going to be Office Tech. And then the value here is going to be Microsoft Office. And actually here, I can even with this one, I can just put Office, keep it even shorter, Office. And then, okay, interest, perfect. Let's create one more checkbox. And this label will be for Canvas. One of my other playlists is on the Canvas Learning Management System. And then we'll open that up and paste that here. And this ID is going to be Canvas, and the value is Canvas LMS, Learning Management System. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to see this labeled as interest, and then the value here is going to be what's returned to me. So it will say interest, web development, or it could say interest, web development, Microsoft Office, and so on. Now let's put in what they're going to actually see. So below the input type, you're going to hit an enter above the closing bracket label, and this is what is going to show up above the checkbox. So I'm going to put web development, and then same here, hit enter, and then I'm going to put Microsoft Office, and then here I'm going to put Canvas LMS. So that does it for our HTML. Now let's go into our styles, and we're going to go back down here to where we had our styles for our form. So all this beautiful stuff right here, and then above the footer I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to put an interest, which is the classification for that whole field set group, and we're going to apply styles to the labels of that field set, and we're going to do a margin right of 1.6 ems, and then we're going to go ahead and save that. So this will allow for a gap in between the checkboxes, otherwise they're going to be way too close together. So where I got the interest again, if we go over here to the field set, notice that the class is interest. So that is why I picked on that selector. So I've saved. Now let's see what it looks like after doing those changes here. Oh, how neat, our checkboxes showed up. So notice here the checkbox appears to the left, and then we see web development, Microsoft Office, and Canvas LMS, topics of interest. And I'm very happy with it. Now let's create some radio buttons or option buttons. The difference between checked and radio is that with checked, you can mark multiple and submit. With radio, you can only select one option and only allow for one option to be submitted. So how you learned about my page is where we're going to stick in those radio buttons. So let's go, we're already in our HTML, we're going to scroll down to the class that says learned, and then underneath that legend, we're going to put in a label for, and our first option is going to be YouTube. We're going to open that up, and then we're going to put input type equals, and then in quotes, this time we're going to use the word radio. That's how we tell it, it's going to be a radio button. And then for the name, this is going to be the same for all three of our values, so this will be learned. And the ID is going to be where I can identify what type, and this one's going to be YouTube. Perfect. So now that that one's done, I'm going to actually copy this line, and then we're going to create another one, label for, and this next option I'm going to put class, so those that came across these videos by taking a class like you, potentially. And I'm going to paste this information here, and then where the ID, this time I'm going to replace it with the ID class. And then let's put one more option here. Let's do a label for, and let's put Facebook. My videos make their way across Facebook quite a bit. I could end up with an audience from that social media platform. So we'll go Facebook and then open that up. Paste my input set one more time, and then over here down at the end we're going to call it Facebook. Now remember, I have not typed anything outside of brackets yet, which means that there's nothing visible to our end user. So we'll want to definitely put that in now. So I'm going to hit enter here and put YouTube site, and then here took IVC class, because that's where I teach, and then here we'll put just Facebook. Nice. Oh, and you know what I forgot to add in here? Look, I forgot to add in the value, which is what I'll see when the form comes my way, so that's important. So let's go ahead and add in the value of, and I'm going to just use the same values as my IDs. YouTube, value, class, and then value, Facebook. Nice. And you know, we can have it to where one is checked by default, which is nice because then it helps them see the purpose of those buttons. And so the one that's most likely going to be checked, where I get most of my viewers, is YouTube. So I'm going to just put checked here at the end of this bracket and watch what happens. So we're going to go ahead and save this, but then let's jump into our styles. And then where we have our interest label here, we're going to add the one we just built, which was learned, and then space, and then label. And now we're going to save it, and let's see what it looks like. So very neat, right? So notice it's already checked here, super cool. This way they can easily tell it's a radio button, and they can still change it, but the default would be YouTube site. One additional thing I'd like to point out is we could go into our HTML, and at the end of one of these input brackets we could put in the word required, and that would make the field required. They would actually not be able to submit until it's filled out. But if you're doing that, we have to make sure we notate that. Otherwise they might be wondering, why isn't it letting me submit? Now, you know I like to keep my videos short and sweet, and this one's already getting pretty long, so we're going to end this one right here, and then in the next video we are going to talk about adding drop-down menus and enabling form submission. So I will see you in the next one.